merchants has been around since ancient history and still uses sea and waterways across the world to trade with nations and tribes of the past. As industry grew, docks and ports were built to cope with merchants and cargo ships carrying larger cargoes. One of these ports would be the biggest in the world, a melting pot of different cultures and the hub of coal exportation of the world. This is a short story of Cardiff Bay, or Tiger Bay. Now a built-up area with high-end restaurants and a theatre. It is very impressive in the space of 30 years that Cardiff Bay has regenerated from a wasteland which was the shell of its heyday as the coal and iron export industry powerhouse. So let's just rewind the clock back to 1794. That year the Glamorganshire Canal was completed and it was massive for the small town of Cardiff as it linked it to the small of the iron towns of Merthyr Tydfil, which it did directly pass the Cyfarthfa and Ynysfach ironworks. And when it reached Cardiff, a basin was built connecting it to the Bristol Channel. It was very important, and one local lord had an idea to capitalise on the canal and its ever-growing iron and coal industry in Wales. That man was John Christian Stewart, the second Marquess of Bute. Lord Mount Stewart was the foremost landowner in Cardiff. He owned land where the first dock was built. The West Bute Dock was designed by Admiral William Smith and constructed by Scottish engineer George Turnbull. It officially opened in October 1839 and it was successful instantly, with Cardiff becoming a huge coal exporter, and a railway line would open 2 years later, which would bring coal and iron to the docks faster than before, which basically ran along the same line as the Glamorganshire Canal. Construction of a new East Bute docks from 1855, designed by James Walker of Messer, Walker and Burgess, built by Thomas Cupid's firm. It opened in 1859 and resulted in coal supplanting iron as the industry foundation of South Wales, with coal exports reaching 2 million tonnes as early as 1862. The Bute Docks feeder supplied East Bute Docks with water extracted from the River Taff. With the success of Mount Stewart's Bute Docks, Cardiff is still underdeveloped, and a rival docks was built in Penarth and Barry. This was the kicker that Cardiff needed to construct another dock named the Roast Dock in 1887, and then the Queen Alexandra Dock in 1907. By then, Cardiff's exports from South Wales coalfields via Cardiff totaled near 9 million tonnes per year. Docks grew in popularity and Tiger Bay became a well-known home for brokers, merchants and seafarers in Mount Stewart Square and London Square, with many residents of the buildings owned tramp steamers, which was used in the bay. The bay did become a massive melting pot of multiculturalism, which saw many sailors settle in the area from European countries such as Spain, Italy and Ireland, with the most notable area being Norway. The Norwegians settled in Cardiff in the masses, establishing a church on the waterfront, and the most notable Cardiff resident of Norwegian descent is Roald Dahl. But many other nations, such as Somalia, did have many residents settle in Cardiff, and they are still there to this day. Tiger Bay might have been a place for coal exportation, especially with a pierhead building being constructed in 1897. It was seen as a dangerous area outside the city centre. Even though the city centre did have Whitmore Lane and Charlotte Street, which were considered the most dangerous streets in Wales, the home of the brothels in Cardiff, the docks had its own red light district aimed at the tired sailors who were docking in the bay. One of the most dangerous criminals that operated partly down the bay was Mad Jack Matthews, who was a petty thief. He used key locations down Tiger Bay to steal off the sailors, using prostitutes and many other associates to aid in his criminal activities. Many murders did occur down the bay, with the most notable being the murder of Lynette White in February 1988, which saw three black men named Tony Paris, Yusuf Abdullahi, and Stephen Miller were wrongfully accused and convicted of her murder, with many witnesses claiming to see a white man in the vicinity with Lynette White. Eventually, the convictions were quashed and the real killer was caught and faced life imprisonment. The killer's name was Jeffrey Gaffel. By the 1990s, the coal industry has completely collapsed, and Tiger Bay was a rundown area within the Welsh capital. Something needed to be done. In 1999, the Cardiff Bay Redevelopment Corporation was placed to rebuild the docks area. This redevelopment focused on building Cardiff Bay's barrage, one of the most controversial building projects to this day, which impounded the rivers Taff and Ely to create a massive freshwater lake. The former dock near the Pierhead building was filled in and shops were built on top of it, and this became the Mermaid Quay. The Welsh Millennium Centre was built, St David's Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel, was built, and the seat of the Welsh devolved government, the Senedd, is housed on the waterfront of Cardiff Bay. Another controversy of the redevelopment was renaming Tiger Bay to Cardiff Bay. It was pushed back initially by residents, councillors, and other notable figures from Cardiff, but it was pushed ahead and the renaming went ahead to Cardiff Bay. And that would mean Tiger Bay is no more. But despite the bay's dark history, it did have many high points. It was a massive coal exporter in the world at one point, which probably fueled ships and heated homes across the world, thankfully leaving South Wales via Cardiff. And many notable people were birthed in Cardiff Bay, or Tiger Bay, such as Dame Shirley Bassey, who sung some Bond songs, who was a very famous singer in the 1950s and 60s. And the first ever black head teacher, Betty Campbell, was from Tiger Bay. It was also key in making Wales an industrial powerhouse, which it will always be remembered for. So that is the brief story of Tiger Bay. Thank you for watching.